Good afternoon, ladies. It is noon and we're back for day 3. Let's see, it's 11:59, so I'm going to give it a couple minutes before we get started. But if you're already here, please say hello. I like to know that I'm not talking to no one. That's always nice. And I hope many of you are going to be able to join today. Hi, Nikki. Yay, people are watching. So I welcome you all, and I am going to give it a couple of minutes before we get into content. I do want to share that I am wearing these earrings that are really fun that my stepdaughter brought back for me from Spain when she did one of her study abroad experiences in college. And I'm wearing them today because I really felt like I wanted to channel travel, because I really feel sad about the fact that we can't do any travel. And I believe that travel is going to come back. So I'm trying to channel, goodness with these earrings. So hopefully that'll help. Also, it is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Richmond, Virginia. I think it's only going to be 70 degrees, but it's like perfect sun, light breeze. It's like the best thing ever. I think tomorrow it's going to be like 87 or something though. So we only get like one day of that and then it's gone. But it's a beautiful day. And hi, Tracy. It's a beautiful day and everything is great. And I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. And I'm so pleased with how things are going with the workshop and how you're all participating. And hi, Stephanie, you're all participating and talking to each other and doing all the things. So the other thing you can see is probably because my mood is so perky that I've stopped watching the news, which I have. I probably haven't really looked at any news in several days because I've been so consumed with what we're doing here in our little bubble. And yeah, it's a beautiful day and it's just, hi, Peggy. And I am just feeling just really good about things and not watching the news. Now, of course, some people chastise me for that and say, I'm putting my head in the sand, but I'm not. I mean, obviously I'm on social media all day, every day, and I'm aware of what's going on, but I'm not focusing on the negative. Hi, Michelle. Michelle was our winner of our fancy pen set. So yay, Michelle, for doing her homework. And today's homework thread will be up after this call. And today's homework prize, we're giving away FabFitFun starter boxes, and they are freaking awesome. So do your homework today. And it's not going to be hard homework, I promise. So you're going to be able to really easily just get in there and do it, and it's going to be good. Yay! Yeah, news is damaging to our minds, and I need my mind to be good so that I can help all of you to be better. So we've been going, I just want to tell you this one funny quick thing before we get started, and actually it is a segue into today's content, which we're going to talk today about your resume and LinkedIn content. So we've been going on walks every day, my husband and I, because what else is there to do, right? That's like our big exciting activity, right? I'm sure that's what everyone's doing. So when we went on our walk yesterday, my husband was asking me, my husband's an engineer. I think I've mentioned this before, and he has no idea what we're doing here at all. Like no idea. Like he's just like, what is even happening? Like, what is she doing? He's very supportive, but he has no idea what we're doing. Hi, Murphy. So we go on a walk yesterday, and he said to me, when you're doing the talks, oh yay, Murphy had a great interview. Well, we want to hear about that, definitely. So I'm telling a funny story right now, but anyway, so I'm on this walk with my husband and he's like, I don't understand, what you're doing in this group. And I try to explain it, but he doesn't get it. So he said to me, when you're doing the live streams, are you sitting, or do you sit down, or are you standing? And I'm like, am I standing? I'm like, well, no, I'm sitting because I have to put the camera in front of me and, I need to be in front of it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, when you get really excited, because he knows how I get excited. He's like, when you get really excited, don't you jump up? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I jump up and I say, okay, this is the jumping jacks portion, of the live stream. Like the things men say, I swear, I just died. I was laughing so hard. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, I don't get that crazy. Too funny. And then, he was asking me again, he's asked me this every day. You're doing 3 of these sessions every day for 9 days. What could you possibly be talking about? And I said, oh my God, you just don't get it. I said, any one of these sessions could be its own 9-day or more course, right? Because there's so much content in this world of career. And he doesn't understand that. He really doesn't. Like, I think the only session he would understand would be the one that we're doing today, and maybe the one that we're doing tomorrow, and maybe the networking a little bit. But really, like, the resume, the actual job search stuff, that's the only thing he understands at all, right? And he doesn't really understand it either, by the way. But what's so funny, and I thought about this morning. I always have my aha moments in the shower. I thought about this morning, and I hate to pick on him. So I told him I was going to tell you guys this, though. Is that's what most people think, right? Most people, when they think about career management, when they think about career development, career whatever, right? Career coaching, whatever we're doing here, right? Whatever we want to call it. When people think about that, that's the only piece of it they really think about, is just, I need to get my resume in order and I need to apply for jobs. And maybe I need to talk to a couple of people, and maybe I need to get a little better with my interviewing skills. Maybe I'll watch a video about that on YouTube, or I'll ask a friend what they think, or whatever, right? That's all people do. So you guys doing all this work, and us doing all this work together, and especially doing it over a period of time, do you realize how much that puts you ahead of the curve of the average person? The other day, and we pick on the poor men, I know, and we shouldn't do that, but somebody's posted that I want to have the confidence of like a mediocre man or something like that. And I laughed at that because it's true. It's like, we can, and obviously there's many women also who are not doing this work, of course, right? So, we really can rise above the others, that are competing with us for the same roles right now by doing this work. So I thought that was just interesting, and that, it kind of brought that to light for me. So I'm going to jump right into today's content. Thank you, Murphy. I'm glad that the It's a Lot isn't too overwhelming for you guys. Oh my God, now I have a family member on. Lisa, my cousin. Welcome. I didn't even realize you were in my group. So welcome, yay. There's people from all walks of life on here. So today we're doing Rock Your Resume and LinkedIn content. So if you have your worksheet, get it out. If you don't, get out your journal, write this down somewhere, because it is really good to take notes, and it's really good to have them to refer back to later. So on the worksheet, number 1, a resume is a blank blank. A resume is a marketing tool. I cannot stress that enough. A resume is not an autobiography. A resume is not a list of all the things that you've done in your life, even all the jobs that you've had. It is not that. It is a marketing tool. It is an advertisement of you, the product, and how you are going to, benefit this employer that is going to, Murphy says, hi, Lisa, that's so cute. How that is going to benefit them, right? So they want to know, they're buying your service, right? Your work, they're buying that. And they want to know how your product, service, is going to benefit them. So that's what the resume is all about. So when we think about it that way and we craft it that way, it really becomes so much more impactful, and it changes so much about how we're presenting ourselves and how we're being viewed. I will tell you, I do not claim to be an expert on everything. I always make my caveats, right? Like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a this, I'm not a that, right? When I say something, I don't want people a sales flyer for yourself. Exactly, Tracy. And I don't claim to be an expert on everything, but I'm telling you, I've looked at, I don't even want to think about how many resumes I've looked at in my life as a recruiter. I was a recruiter for over 20 years. I've seen a lot of resumes, and I've seen a lot of bad resumes. So back to my original point about how it really isn't that hard to be the cream of the crop when it comes to this stuff, if you just do some work around it and you really dig into it. Because I've seen, seriously, if I got 200 resumes for a job, let's say, that people apply for, and I would get that many sometimes, even in good economic times, and probably out of those 200, maybe 5 of them really were doing what they needed to do. As far as really positioning themselves, to really get noticed, get the job, get moved on to the next phase. So, and we hear those kind of statistics, And, we say, oh, you won't get noticed in the pile. You won't get noticed in the pile. You can get noticed in the pile because the pile is really kind of terrible for the most part. It's a lot of laziness. It's a lot of people not knowing, just not knowing how to do it, not reaching out for help. It's just not that kind of thing, so, it's really important to make sure that, you're really, really doing the work on this. So what I ask you to do in the question for number 1 on the worksheet, and obviously, this is something that, this is kind of an ongoing process. This is something that, you're not going to necessarily, again, just be able to do. I mean, you certainly can look at your resume today, right? But you may not be able to, make it perfect today. I don't expect you to be able to do that. But I would like you to review your most recent resume. First of all, is it updated? So many people have resumes that, they haven't put their last job on it and they've been in their last job for 10 years. So they haven't even touched their resume until they're unemployed or until they need a new job. So, that's something, yes, we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about resumes, guys. Yes, exactly. And reviewing resumes and all that stuff. Yes. Because that's a very important piece of all this. So is it screaming your ideal job and why you're the best person for it? So we talked about the targeting thing. If I'm a recruiter and I look at your resume and I can't figure out in the first, we used to say 30 seconds. I say it's probably a little more like 5 seconds. If I can't look at your resume and right away see if this is something I should continue to look at, meaning is this something that's relevant for the job this person is applying for? I'm going to pass. Now, if it's a harder to fill role, if I have less resumes that have come in, if it's really critical, maybe I'll do the 30 seconds or a minute, right? And I'll really start to read more of it and I'll start to dig into it a little bit. But if I start to dig into it a little bit, and then I get confused at all, and then I don't know what we're buying, they always say a confused mind doesn't buy. And that's what all the coaches tell people like me, if I'm selling you a product or a service, or, I'm selling you my coaching, for instance, if you don't understand what it is or what it is I'm promoting, what it is I'm selling, you're not going to sign up, right? You're not going to give me your money if you don't understand what you're going to get, right? Why would you do that? So same thing. They're not going to hire you. They're not going to even interview you because that's their time. Time is money, right? Time is very much money in the business world. So they're not even going to give you their time if they don't think it's worth it, right? So it's really important to grab them, with something that really shows them that you have done your homework and that you really want their job. That's another issue. I think we look at employers as not being humans. I think sometimes, it's the company or the organization, it's not a person, but companies and organizations are made up of people. And they want people who want them. Like that old song, I Want You to Want Me. They want you to want them. And they want to know why, right? And they want to understand that you're not somebody that's just looking for a job, even though you are somebody who's looking for a job, right? And sometimes desperately, sometimes you really need a job. Sometimes you need a job so you can pay your bills that month, right? So sometimes it is very urgent for you. And they know that, obviously. But they want you to want their job for more reason than just that. Because if they're going to invest their time and their money and their resources into hiring you, onboarding you, training you, getting you, acclimated, getting you to be a part of their team, they want to know that A, you're going to be able to do the work, B, you're going to fit in well, and C, you're going to stay for some period of time, and that you're not taking their job just because, you need a Band-Aid. Nobody wants to be a Band-Aid, right? They want you to really want their job. And the first way that you can help them to see that is by crafting your resume in a very targeted way. And, we'll certainly talk more about that. And like I said, this resume writing thing, a resume writing workshop could go on for, a long period of time. And I wish that we had more time to do that. But this is something I would do, in a workshop for a much longer period of time, and get you guys to work through your resumes and go through all of it. But today I just want to make sure I hit the high points because I really want you guys to take a look at that. So if your resume is not screaming your ideal job, and why you're the best person for it. I'd like you to make a list of your qualifications. Literally, like, make a list of your qualifications. And then I want you to write a short story that supports each assertion. So if you say, I am good at, I don't know, a software program, right? Give me an example now of when you've used that. Give me an example of why you're good at it, how you're good at it. What did you do with it? What was the result, right? Those behavioral interview questions. They're going to happen in an interview. You need to be prepared for them anyway. So the fact that you're thinking about this on the resume, you're actually, by answering the behavioral interview type questions in resume format. So it's basically you're being proactive and you're preempting what they're going to ask in an interview, right? So if they're going to ask you, I don't know, Murphy, give me a name of a software that people use in project management today. I'm not really that up on that anymore. So, let's just say, other than Microsoft Project, I don't know any other ones, but okay, let's say I know Microsoft Project, right? And I'm really good at it. And I want to tell everybody that, right? I want to tell the world. And I'm putting that on my resume. And let's say I'm the recruiter and I know Microsoft Project is a requirement for this job. They have to have it. If you have a bullet point right up at the top, right, very prominently, that tells me very briefly what you did with that and what the result was. Yeah, Microsoft Project. Yeah, I did know. Yeah. Jira, that's the new one that my client is going to be launching. That I told you guys about yesterday. Yay, and I'm so excited for her. Oh my God, there's a lot of them. Okay, yay. We got a lot of them to learn. So if they can see that right away, do you see what that does subliminally? I've been talking too much. Subliminally, they know that they're going to ask that question. You've already answered the question, in a sense, in the resume. So they already know that about you. They don't even have to dig any deeper. They don't have to look to see, all right, so she lists MS Project or any one of these other things that Murphy and Leah have told us about here. A lot of people especially a technical resume, they'll have a section like technical skills and they'll just write the names, of like these programs that they've used or these skills that they have, right? Well, I could write a name of a skill too. It doesn't mean I have it. It doesn't mean I know anything about it. It doesn't mean I did anything with it, right? Yeah, it makes the employer feel like they're safe, right? Safe to what? Not waste their time, because hiring managers don't want to interview anybody. They have no time to interview anybody. Interviewing people is a big pain in the neck for them. It's an intrusion into their day. The recruiter, it's their job to do all this, right? To screen you and to look at your resume and to move you forward. But at the end of the day, it's the hiring manager that really needs to make the decision, right? Because they're the expert in that area, what they're hiring for. And they have to interview you and they have to make a decision and they have to go through that process. And it takes a lot of their time and energy, and they don't have it. A lot of hiring managers spend their weekends and their evenings reading resumes and preparing for interviews and having after hours meetings with their teams to decide after they interview people, who are we going to make the offer to, or talking to the recruiter about who we're going to make the offer to, whatever, right? Crafting the offer. That's a lot of work for them and they don't want to do it. They really don't. Most of them don't want to do it. And a lot of them aren't good at doing it either. So they want you to help them. It's like, help me help you, right? So they want that. They want you to help them. So it is very important to do that. So write some short stories. And again, these are not your homework for the day because this takes some time, so obviously you're not going to do this right now either, unless you want to jot down a few quick thoughts here to get back to later. So this is like kind of later homework for you guys to work on. But when did you exhibit the skill at work and how did the situation unfold and what was the result? Results are very important. Another thing I want to point out, I'm just checking my time here to make sure we're good on time. Another thing I want to point out that is extremely important about results. I see a lot of resumes still in 2020, I still see resumes that basically just list what you were responsible for, right? I see responsible for answering the phone, responsible for greeting customers, responsible for sales volume, things that are not special, right? We want to be special. We are special. We're all special. We really are. And we all have special gifts and things that we bring to the table. Again, the resume is prime real estate. This, like, I forget who just set it up higher up in the comments here, but it's your sales flyer. You are selling yourself. It is your promotion. It's your sales page. It's like if I do a program, I'll make a sales page, and the sales page tells you what you're going to get. Like, what are your results going to be? What are you going to get by working with me? It's the same thing. Your resume is your sales page. So we want it to scream that. So if we're just saying what we're responsible for, like, or what we do every day, our tasks, first of all, A, boring, right? B, obviously, it's like if you're a plumber, and this is a silly example, but if you're a plumber, right, and you're doing your resume and you say, I'm a plumber, I fix the sink. Well, hello, obviously a plumber fixes the sink. I mean, really, did we think he baked a cake? The plumber fixes a sink, right? All plumbers fix sinks. Why do you fix the sink better? I mean, can you imagine if a plumber was creating their marketing materials to, get you to hire them to fix your sink, and all it says is, hi, I'm Joe, I'm a plumber, I fix sinks. Would that be very attractive to you? Would that be very attractive to you? No, not really. I mean, maybe if somebody knew Joe and they recommended Joe, and again, we're going to get into that when we talk about networking. But as far as from a sales perspective, if I'm seeing that, and I'm also seeing something that explains to me how many sinks that he fixed and what was the result, and what could people do now that those sinks were fixed, and how great everyone felt about that, and, testimonials about that and things, wouldn't that be a lot better than just saying, I fix the sinks, so who cares? So yeah, what you can do for them is the thing to answer before they meet you. Exactly. So that's how you need to be thinking when you're writing your resume. And it really turns this whole process for a lot of people on its head, because especially those of us who are a little bit older like me, I learned how to write resumes the first time, in the 80s. I graduated from high school in 1986. And, that was when I learned about resumes when I was in college, and how to write resumes. And the focus was not really the same then. It was more on what were we responsible for. We weren't doing, interviewing wasn't really the same then. We didn't have as much of the behavioral interviewing then. It was in its infancy. I think, somebody was doing it, but it wasn't like it is now. It was not the same focus as it is now. And it really wasn't, it just wasn't the same, and obviously in those days we actually put a resume in an envelope and mailed it to somebody. Isn't that crazy? The thought of doing that now just boggles my mind, but we actually did that. So times change and we have to change with them. So that is number one. And I really would like you guys to, take a really good look at that and, really dig into that one, because that is very important. But remember, based on the work we did with clues and clarity in day 1 and 2, it is very important that you have your target. And again, like we talked about, I know some of you are probably still anxious about your target, or you're not sure what it is. You have to pick something to do this exercise. So pick something. Seriously, just pick something, because once you start picking something and you do this exercise and you start crafting your resume around the thing that you're deciding to pick, you'll have aha moments where you really see, whoa, wait a minute. I get it now. I get what I need to do. And then you realize that even if you change what you're picking, you can continue to refine it. You can always change it. That's the other thing. Nothing is written in stone. It's not like you do your resume, and even if you do your resume and you send it to 3 employers, and now you realize, crap, I didn't really want it to say that. I want to say something different. Guess what? Okay, there's other people. You just change it. We need to have that learning orientation and that learning as we go. We learn as we go. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our missteps. We don't even want to call them mistakes. We just learn, like Thomas Edison with the light bulb we talked about yesterday. We just learn about the ways that it doesn't work, and then we make adjustments along the way. So everything does not have to be perfect to get started. I learned that in this business. Is everything 100% perfect right now in this Facebook group, in this workshop? I don't know. Probably not. There's other things I could do as we're going along already. I have a whole list in my notebook over here of what I want to do differently, or additional things I want to add to this the next time I do it, or, different things I want to add to programs that I have coming up, and different ways to support you guys, and, to build my business and to serve better, right? Because as I'm doing it, I'm learning that. You guys are telling me, hey, I would like this, I would like that. What about this? What about that? I'm seeing the comments you're posting. I'm seeing the way you're talking to each other. I'm seeing the way you're interacting with me. I'm seeing, the aha moments that you're having and what's valuable, what's not valuable, right? So I'm learning as I go. You're learning as you go. We're learning together as we go. If we waited till we knew everything, if we waited until it was perfect, I would still be working at my job that I hate, or I'd be laid off by now, or you would be, following someone else, and, maybe that'd be good. Maybe that would be bad. I don't know. But we wouldn't be working together. So we have to meet each other where we are, meet ourselves where we are, and be patient. So the other thing I want to talk about this morning is our LinkedIn strategy. We've touched on that a number of times in other calls this week. And I really think LinkedIn is a very, very, very big tool. I forget how many members there are on LinkedIn, but it's a freaking lot. I think it's like 400 million people or something. It's a lot of people on LinkedIn. Now, of course, that's global. It's not all, in your country, our country, but it's enormous, right? And when something is enormous, it can be a little daunting, right? So it's almost like maybe it's too big. What do I do with it? How do I work this, right? So number 2, LinkedIn is an attraction strategy. So again, LinkedIn is not a place where we just list everything we've ever done in our lives. LinkedIn is not a mini autobiography of our lives. LinkedIn is another marketing tool in the case of LinkedIn, because we don't send our LinkedIn profile normally to people, although we might send somebody a link to it, of course, we want them to look at it. But when we apply for a job, they're asking for a resume, generally not a LinkedIn profile. So the LinkedIn profile really is more of an attraction strategy. So we want people to be able to find you on LinkedIn. And we're going to talk about how they do that, because I had a LinkedIn recruiter account as a recruiter for a long time, and also was a recruiter without one as well. So both strategies of how people find you. But so we want people to be able to find you, number 1. And we want people, when they find you, to say, wow, this person's really got their stuff together, right? And we want the clarity, again, just like we did with the resume. We want your LinkedIn profile to scream what it is you want to do, what it is you want to present. We want them to say, oh, wow, that's the person I need, right? And be clear, easy to figure out, not a puzzle for them to solve. They don't have time for that, right? So we want that. We want keywords in our LinkedIn profile, because that is how recruiters or anybody searches for people on LinkedIn, is keywords. They also probably search location, years of experience. If you have a LinkedIn recruiter account as a recruiter, there's about 1 million filters. So some of them are years of education, years in the workforce, different degrees, very specifically, even sometimes as far as, a level of degree and concentration. You can even search by specific schools if you only want to hire people that graduated from a particular school or a particular program. You can search it based on, all sorts of keywords, do the Boolean logic. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but the search strings, just like you would do a search in Google for something, you can do that. So you can really narrow down your search and get the right people in your search. Of course, certainly, yes, location, whether the person is looking for a full-time job, a part-time job, a freelance job, a contract job, whatever, right? Whatever they're looking for. So the more information you put in your LinkedIn profile, the more completely you fill that out, and it tells you how complete it is. It'll tell you when it's 80% complete, 100% complete, and then they give you like a little star or something. And they are going to also show your LinkedIn profile more to people if it's a nice one, right? That's filled out and everything is there. You want to have a very professional picture. I am on LinkedIn constantly now, talking with potential clients and driving people to this group. And I think some of you watching probably were driven there by LinkedIn. So yay, thank you for giving me a chance and, getting on this ladies group here and being here with me today. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people contact you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be with me if you didn't know me already. So, and hopefully this is a good experience for you. But, you know, so it's really important to make sure that that profile is optimized, you know, and by that I mean it's completely filled out. You've taken advantage of every section. You've given all the information that you possibly can to make somebody be able to find you, but to make the right people able to find you. Now, will you get nonsense on LinkedIn? Will you get somebody sending you something that has absolutely no relevance to you whatsoever? Of course, because there are people that use message bots, which I don't use. There are people who use, you know, they just send the same exact message to every single person on their list, whether that person is somebody, you know, that would be a lead or not. You know, I'm not going to send a message to a fellow entrepreneur, you know, another career coach or you know, a colleague about this workshop because they don't want to attend this workshop. So I can't send out something to all of my LinkedIn contacts, right? Because they're not all relevant for this group. This is also a group for professional women. Obviously, I have a lot of LinkedIn contacts that are men, and you know, they're not invited. So so we need to make sure you know, that when we're targeting people, when me as a business owner or me as a recruiter, when we're targeting people, the more information you have there for me to see, you know, the better match we can make, right? So LinkedIn is absolutely an attraction strategy. You are putting your best foot forward. The photos on LinkedIn that I see sometimes are just bizarre. You know, somebody, unless you, work for a company that sells outdoor equipment, I would not, you know, show even a picture of yourself hiking or something. Like, I don't care if you go hiking. Like, that has nothing to do with your job. I saw a woman wearing her wedding dress in her LinkedIn profile the other day, and I don't understand that. Why would you do that? Like, you must have another picture of yourself. I think that's weird. You know, it's just, is it terrible? You know, is somebody never going to talk to you because of that? No. But again, it's not using that prime real estate. You have an opportunity there to put a very clear photo of yourself that, you know, you look your best, and, you know, and it's not hard to do that. You can take your cell phone and you can take a selfie that looks better than some of these pictures people have, or certainly put it on the little tripod. Like I have this tripod, I think costs like $10 on Amazon. You know, or have somebody just take your picture with your cell phone. I mean, cell phones have great cameras now. This is one of the newer, this is the 10 something. I never know what phone I have, but the video on here is great and the camera quality is great, you know, so just take a picture, put the damn thing out there. So, you know, you got it. And yes, Murphy, yes, I've been hit on by people on LinkedIn too, and it's unbelievable to me that men would do that. Like, send you, oh, you're so beautiful, or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, like, really? That's how you're trying to meet women? Yeah, that's very sad. But yeah, that will happen too. So there's, you know, anytime we put ourselves anywhere out in the world for people to see us, we're going to get some unwanted attention. And whether it be that kind of unwanted attention or somebody trying to sell us, I don't know, you know, Viagra or something, you know, something we don't want, or just something that's not pertinent for us. We're going to get some of that, but we're also going to get a lot of responses from people who really do want to make a match with us. LinkedIn is a huge, huge, huge recruitment strategy for companies, you know, at this time in our world's history, you know, in 2020, there's a lot, that's where recruiters are right now. They're doing that far more than they're even using like Indeed or any of those, because like for instance, if I'm a recruiter and I see a resume on Indeed, sure, I might contact that person. Yeah. I mean, it's still valuable, but all I see is their resume. On LinkedIn, you know, I see more, right? I see your photo. I see, you know, more about you. You have more of an opportunity to tell me more about yourself. That about section scares the hell out of people. I know it does, because a lot of people don't like writing. One thing that is a really good idea, I think, and again, because you can see everybody's use all sorts of people's profiles, right? Look at other profiles, and see which ones are really utilizing that space, because that space is prime real estate for selling yourself. In that space, it's almost really like a mini cover letter. In that space, you should be summarizing who you are, telling a potential employer why you're a good fit. What do you bring to the table? What are your accomplishments? Again, we want to focus on accomplishments. We don't want to say things just like, I'm a good communicator, or I'm a team player, or, I work well with people, or I learn quickly, or whatever. Nobody cares about any of that. And none of that is measurable. None of that is measurable, at least certainly not measurable when I read anything, right? When I meet you, maybe I could have a better sense of whether or not that's true or not, right? But everyone says that. So don't say the same cliche things that everyone says. Say the things that are unique to you. Yes, Tracy, it is very hard to talk about yourself. And that is why so many people are not good at doing resumes and cover letters and LinkedIn profiles. And I know some of you have probably heard me say this joke before, but I'm going to say it forever because I just think it's so funny. On Twitter, I saw a guy posted, it was a young guy, probably like my son's age, in his 20s. He posted a tweet that said, I would rather eat an entire car tire than write a cover letter for a job. And I thought that was the funniest thing. I died laughing when I read that. Died laughing because I saw the word cover letter in there and I was like, oh, somebody's writing about cover letter. They need help or whatever, right? And I saw that and it was so funny because it really does, I think, embody in a funny way the way people feel about this. They just think it's ridiculous. Yeah. And, like Murphy, I think what you're saying, so I don't know if we want to completely copy the profile content. And I know you're not really completely copying it, but yeah, look at what other people have. Yes. Look at the people that you admire. Look at the people that you really want to, that you want to be when you grow up, right? The people you want to be like when you grow up. And, Leah, yes, you can get a little personal in that area too. You can, but again, we want to, anytime you share anything personal, this is very important too. And we're going to talk about this more with interviewing tomorrow. Anytime you share anything personal in this process, you want to make sure you're doing it in a strategic way. So we don't want to share anything personal that, allows anybody to know things about us that are none of their business legally. So for instance, we don't want to share things. If someone's not legally allowed to ask you something in an interview, you don't want to advertise that information. So, if you're a mother, you really don't want to say anything about that in your LinkedIn profile, because if someone wants to use that against you to, unconscious bias, whatever, or conscious bias, you don't even want somebody to see that, right? So you don't need to mention that you're a mother. You don't need to mention anything about your religion or, anything about, right. Of course, I know, Murphy, you're not actually copying it, but yeah, copy and paste it into a Word document and then, and then craft it to what you want. Yeah. I've done that with sales pages for my business. Like I look at other people's sales pages and I say, how are they doing this? What sections are they putting? What points are they hitting? And how can I do that for me? And how can I use this as a little bit of a template to mirror how to do mine? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. You're imitating somebody that you admire, right? And you're doing something similar to what they do. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually really good. So you want to make sure that anything personal, that you're sharing is strategic and makes sense. Talking about something that you do, maybe for volunteer work that might be pertinent also to the job that you want. That's a great strategy. And a lot of times volunteer work, particularly for doing some work for nonprofits, things like that. A lot of times that work is actual work, right? And it is that you're utilizing skills and you're able to share them. But anything that would be something that somebody could discriminate against you for, anything that somebody could, have some unconscious bias about, there's no reason to share that. There's in that time, there was no reason to share that before anybody has gotten to know you. So that's why we want to be careful about being too personal. The other thing I will say is, you can be a little bit funny sometimes too. But again, you don't want to be so funny that now you're unprofessional, right? So I see people putting some things that are a little tongue-in-cheek, a little funny, a little clever, really. Maybe clever is more the word than funny. And I wish I could think of a good example of this. I got to look for one and tell you guys later. But something that's a little clever, in your profile or in your title, right? like maybe somebody who is good at getting groups of people together is calling themselves like a cat herder or something. I've seen that, things like that, cutesy things like that. Depending on the type of role that you're looking for and depending on the type of organization that you're targeting, something that's a little funny or clever or cute can actually be an attraction strategy, right? If you're going to work for somebody that is super serious though, and a very serious professional buttoned up kind of industry, everybody's still wearing suits, then no, you don't want to be a little funny. They're not going to find that funny, right? But think about it. I always use Bark as an example, the company that makes Bark boxes for dogs. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Everything in their marketing is funny. Everything on their Instagram is funny. Everything on their Twitter is funny. Everything on their website is funny. Everything they do is funny. So they definitely would appreciate a job applicant that puts something in their LinkedIn profile that's a little clever or funny. And certainly they would appreciate somebody talking about their pets, right? Or their interest in dogs, or their interest in animals, or their interest in animal welfare, things like that, right? So that kind of thing. If you have something to target specifically like that and it's strategic, then you can get a little personal. But personal is always something to be a little careful with. We don't want to get too personal because personal is for Facebook, right? Personal is for Instagram. Personal is for personal, right? Personal use. And we always need to remember that LinkedIn is a professional platform. So in our question here for our LinkedIn section in number 2, how many LinkedIn connections do you have? I see some people who have been in the workforce for 100 million years, people my age, they have 27 LinkedIn contacts. That means they're not using LinkedIn, of course, but it is not that hard to reach out to people on LinkedIn, connections of connections, things like that, and expand your reach. So I'd like you guys to, and again, this doesn't have to be done immediately. This is a little bit of a project, but make a list of your warm leads for information or possible job leads and set a goal to reach out to them to reconnect. So maybe, you set a goal to reach out to 5 of them per day. Maybe it's reconnecting with people you used to know. Maybe it's doing some research on who are the connections of your connections. Those people can introduce you to those people, things like that. So really get in there and think about, who do you know and who do you know who knows people? Because you know people who know people. I mean, you know me, I know people, right? I know you, you know people. We already all know each other, right? So by warm leads, I mean, Tracy, people that you already know. So maybe it's somebody you used to work for. Maybe it's somebody that you went to school with who is doing something really cool now that you're interested in. Maybe it's somebody that knows somebody that you know, right? Or maybe you go to one of those people's pages and LinkedIn pages, and you see in their contacts some people that they know, right? Also, it tells you when you look at a person if you have any connections in common, because the whole way LinkedIn started was as like an introduction strategy. Now, obviously it has become far more than that now with 400 million users. But when LinkedIn first started, 1190, very good, Murphy. That's a good amount. Yeah. And it's really not that hard to build because it builds kind of like a snowball, right? Like look at what has happened with this group that you're in with me right now. This group has like 100 more people in it than it did like a couple of weeks ago. And the reason for that is because I invited people in to do this workshop. Some of them invited people in before the workshop. When we started the workshop, some of you really liked the workshop or said, oh, wow, I'm in the workshop. Let me invite some of my friends. So I thank you all for that. Of course, it's been just terrific to get, more people invited in, but that's how it works, right? Now, some of those people might want to invite more people. Then I'm really dating myself now, but if anybody remembers, I think these commercials were on in the 70s, and I don't even remember what shampoo it was. Somebody's going to remember and tell me in the comments. But that she'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, and it was something like somebody that made their hair soft, the shampoo, and then it showed like 2 people, and then it showed like 4 people, and then it showed like 8 people, and it just kept multiplying and showing, how the more people you tell, the more people find out about the product. So, I mean, yes, well of balsam. Yep, that's right, Leah. And that's the truth, right? Like, that is how things grow. And by knowing people, and then who they know, right? So yes, Tracy, you need to connect with the people in the industry you want to be in. But the other thing is you want to also connect, with those warm leads, which are the people that you already know. Because think about it. How often do you talk to people that you know, friends, family, about who they know. For instance, I don't know if my cousin Lisa is still on. She might have just popped on out of curiosity. But if she's still here, I don't know who my friend Lisa, my cousin Lisa knows. I don't know who she knows. I don't know who she knows and who they work for and who they work for. I have no idea, because if I see her somewhere, I talk to her, I am not talking to her about that, and I think that's true with a lot of our friends and family. And sometimes, have you ever been talking to somebody and you find out, someone that they know or some connection that they have that you didn't know, and maybe you've known this person for many years and you don't know. I don't even know all the people that my husband knows, right? That he's connected with professionally. I don't know all of them because we don't talk about that. That's not our main, communication. So think about, and stop being picky about who you're connected with, right, Murphy? Because if somebody wants to connect with you, instead of being all suspicious about it, now, of course, if it's a man who is hitting on you, of course, block him, get rid of him. But anybody could be a potential connection that might be helpful to you, because you just don't know. So we don't want to prejudge people either. So if someone wants to connect with you, you know what? You can always disconnect from them. If you connect with someone and you find out that they're weird, or they're contacting you in a way you don't like, they're trying to sell you something you don't want, you don't like anything about them, you can disconnect from them, unconnect, whatever the word is. And if they're really bothering you, you can block them. And if they're really bothering you, you can report them to LinkedIn. So, often enough you find people to work on your house. Yes. Tracy, you can find people to do anything on LinkedIn. You can find people to do anything. Yeah. And it seems to be more natural. Networking for needs seems more natural than for jobs. Yeah, like if you want something done, yes, you want to hire somebody to do something. Yes and no. It may be like you feel that it's more natural for you, and if you start doing it for jobs, that will start to feel more natural. Whatever we do, it starts to feel more natural. Remember yesterday in one of the calls, I said that there was a time when what I'm doing with you guys right now, I would have wanted to jump out the window more than do this. Public speaking is a thing that people are very afraid of. And doing it like this is even weirder, right? I don't even know if any of you are even really paying attention to me unless you put a comment, right? I could be talking to myself because I'm talking into a little box, right? And if this is live, and if I mess something up right now or say something stupid or whatever, it's on this live video forever. And I could erase it, but I'm not going to, because I want people to be able to see it later. That's what I promised, right? So I'm out here doing this, and I'm out here doing this with gray hair in a pandemic, and I just don't care anymore. So you will really get more comfortable doing things the more you do them. And I know I'm a person who's had so many fears of doing things. And there are so many countless things I've done in my life where I've done it, and maybe, and it's not even always a fear. Sometimes you're just skeptical. You just think, well, that's not going to work for me. That sounds stupid. That's too hard. No one's going to want to talk to me, but whatever, right? We make up all these limiting beliefs to protect ourselves from, potential rejection or failure. But again, who cares? There's 400 million people on LinkedIn. If some of them don't want to talk to you, who cares? If I offer, people this free workshop and they are not interested and they say no, thank you. And I've even had some people say no, thank you in a not so nice way. I don't care. I care, but I don't really care. That's fine. That's their issue. It's not my issue. I'm offering them something nice for free if they don't want it, or even if I'm offering to sell them my services and they don't want them and they're mad at me for asking. I don't care. Okay, I'm trying to help you. If you don't want my help, that's fine. Have a nice life. And there's another 399 million people or whatever, right? So we just don't have to worry about that. Is it worth it investing in LinkedIn Premium? I think it is if you're very actively searching for a job. Yes. If you are 100% ready, we should all connect to each other on LinkedIn. Murphy, you're just so smart with these ideas of what new threads we should start. I'm going to start a thread when we get off this call for LinkedIn on our Facebook group, and you can all put your LinkedIn profiles on there, and don't feel bad if yours looks bad or it's not good or your picture's weird or you don't have a picture or you didn't do the things or you don't have as many contacts as Murphy or whatever. Who cares? We're all in this together. We're working. We're helping each other. Yes. And so we should really do that. When I had to find a job 2 years ago, I connected to a lot of recruiters. Yes. And that's the other thing. Oh my God, guys, the recruiters are lonely right now. They're freaking out. Recruiters have more time right now. When there is an economic downturn and there's all this fear around jobs, the recruiters that are working, that haven't been laid off, that are still working, the agency recruiters and the headhunter type people, they are like vultures right now, especially the headhunters. They're vultures. The agency recruiters, I don't know, what's a bird that's a little less than a vulture, but still really aggressive? I don't know. That's what they are. They're very hungry for clients right now that are good clients. They're very hungry to make money because that's how they make money, right? By making matches. So that is really, really, so if you have these people in your circle or you want to connect with these people, no recruiter is going to not connect with you. They want to have people in their pipeline. That is their job, to build their pipeline. Recruiters have thousands and thousands and thousands of LinkedIn contacts if they're doing it right. So they want to connect with you. They really do. So definitely you want to use that. You want to use that resource big time, big time, big time, big time. So yeah, if you're connected to recruiters, dust that off and start talking to those people. And again, some of them will have something for you. Some of them won't. Some of them will know someone who does. Some of them won't. Who cares? We're getting out there. We're meeting more people. If you connect with them, now you can see their connections. So maybe you can see more people who work in their company, and the people that work in their company might be people that you also want to connect with, because guess what? Some of those are hiring managers. Some of those would be peers of yours if you went to work there. You can get some informational interviews with some of those people who have a little more time on their hands right now and are feeling really benevolent in the pandemic. So you see how this can just really mushroom? So yeah, I'm going to put a special thread in the group when we get off the phone that you can put your LinkedIn profile and we'll share each other's, and I'll put mine in there as well in case you're not connected with me there as well. And I mean, I am connected to a lot of recruiters and talent acquisition people because that was what I did, for so many years. So I have a ton of those people in my network. And if there's anybody in my network that you see that you'd like me to introduce you to, I'd be more than happy to, send them a personal note and say, hey, here's a person that I think you should look at. I'm more than happy to do that for anybody. So LinkedIn is an attraction strategy. So I want you to work on your LinkedIn profile, and I want you to make that a priority. So the LinkedIn premium question, I want to get back to that. Yes. So if you're really looking for a job and you're ready to look for the job now, it is worth it. Is it worth paying $60 a month though, if you're just kind of dabbling, if you're not ready yet? If you haven't identified your target yet, if you don't have all your ducks in a row, no, I would not pay that money until I had all my ducks in a row and I was really ready to actually utilize it in a really big way. And then you want to be strategic about it, because obviously you want to pay for it as short a period of time as you really have to, right? But LinkedIn Premium for me has been really good for when I've looked for jobs in the past, but it's been really good for me as a career coach. I use it. I have LinkedIn Premium on my account now, to find leads. So yeah, I think it is worth it, but don't waste your money on it unless you're really ready for it. Yes, you can search based on titles, Leah. You can do all sorts of searching. They might offer the first month free, Murphy. I think you're right. I think maybe they do. I can't even remember. I've had it for so long. That's a really good point. I think they might offer the first month free. But again, don't get it until you need it, until you're ready to use it. But yeah, I think they do. I think you're probably right. And now I'm sure they do, with so many people needing it. So yeah, that's probably true. Good point. Good point. Thank you. So I know that we're going really long on time here today because these topics, like I said, this is a whole course in and of itself. Actually, even, each of these is a whole course in and of itself. We're trying to do it in an hour. So, is it for, okay, Michelle, that's really good. Yes. So the first month is free. I apologize for that. I forgot that even was a thing because I paid it so long ago. So a cover letter, I want to touch on this just for a moment, but a cover letter supports your target. So a lot of people ask me if they need to write a cover letter in order to, apply for a job. The answer is yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is because do recruiters read those? Yes and no. I mean, did I read 200 recruiter resumes on a job? Cover letters on a job if I was looking at those 200 resumes that I told you I only had 5 seconds to look at each one? I didn't. But the way a cover letter is helpful is it helps you. So I put here in the question, what is something you would like a potential employer to know about you, but there isn't an easy way to express this information on your resume? That's the basis for a short cover letter. One example that comes to mind is you're applying for jobs. remotely, or you're applying for jobs anywhere in the US because you're willing to relocate, or you're applying for jobs in specific places that you're willing to relocate to. Can you put that on your resume? Yeah, you could maybe put it in a summary. You could put something that says willing to relocate, like in a little banner above your name. But a lot of employers are leery about that. And, they're afraid, again, they want to stay safe. Whoever, I think Murphy might have said that earlier. I can't remember who said they want to feel safe. Maybe it was Tracy. I'm sorry, I forgot. But yeah, so they want to feel safe. Again, they don't want to waste their time. So if you are somebody who truly is willing to relocate anywhere, you're willing to relocate on your own dime, you're not asking for relocation assistance, you already have a reason for moving to that new place. Your boyfriend or girlfriend lives in that location. You want to be closer to them and, start your life there. You have family there. You've targeted that area because you went there to visit and you loved it, and that's the part of the country you want to live in. Whatever the reason is, right? The more information you can give about that, the more you're selling yourself as a really viable candidate. Because if you're not a local candidate, you really want to be able to sell yourself as someone who is as good as a local candidate, who is as reliable for them as a local candidate, someone who can start immediately. I have a client who, it's her and her dog in an apartment that, and she actually rents out some other apartments. And I'm sorry, the answer was a cover letter supports your target, Latanya. So supports your target. So the reason for the cover letter is to give additional information that supports your target. But you're basically doing with this is you're giving someone additional information to feel good about and safe about and comfortable about passing you on. Because if I'm a recruiter and I pass on people to the hiring manager and they talk to those people and then they come back to me and they say, Carol, you sent me Latanya Hudson and she said she was relocatable, I guess, but she's not really relocatable. She just wrote that, she's not really relocatable. You didn't really dig into that enough. They're going to be mad at me for that. And, they're going to be frustrated with me for that because I didn't dig deep enough into that. Or, maybe I pass on you and that has happened to me in the past, right? So now I'm afraid, right? Because I got yelled at. I got yelled at by the hiring manager. I got yelled at by my boss. I got chastised for that. So then the next time I see a resume that comes from another location and the person writes that they're relocatable or whatever, they don't even write that. They're just applying, and we have to assume that, right? If you're applying that you are. And I'm like, I don't really want to pass this person over. There's 5 other people who are local. Let me pass them first. I'm going to hold on this person. Now, can I call Latanya and ask her more? Yeah, I can. Will I do that? Sometimes, if I have time and if I haven't found enough local candidates that are great and that, I can pass on. But in the interest of using my time most effectively, because that's what we're all about, right? We have finite time. We all have the same amount every day. Am I going to call Latanya? Maybe not. But maybe if I'm not sure and I say, God, she really looks like a good candidate for this, but I don't know, I'm afraid because she lives in Kansas and my job's in Virginia and I just don't know what to do. And let me see if she wrote a cover letter. Ding, I click on that. And now Latanya tells me in the cover letter why she's relocatable, how easy it is for her to relocate. I can start as soon as anybody else. I can just pack my little dog and rent my condo to somebody else. All right, I don't really even need to do that. Who cares? I'm going to rent my house. I don't need to sell it right away. I do have a family, but they're going to stay behind and I can come and start the job anytime and then we'll figure that piece out. Whatever you can tell them that makes them feel better and that will make them feel comfortable passing you on, that is what you can put in a cover letter. And that relocation thing just comes up a lot. So that's just one example. I'm sure there's others we can think of. And certainly if any of you want to post about your thoughts or questions about any of those in the group, I'll be happy to look at those later. And maybe even, some of you have some insight for each other around that. Times that maybe that's happened to you. So that's really kind of my cover letter story. So think about that. Like, what is something that you really want to differentiate yourself about, if there is something, and that's really the topic for your cover letter. So today's homework, and I know you're thinking, I hope the homework isn't going to be as hard as some of those other questions, and it's not, because I want you to win prizes. No, I also want you to feel like you're not only getting something out of this, but I want you to feel like you're getting wins. I want you to get wins. Murphy says, my theory is that a cover letter shows that I'm willing to do the extra effort while putting the application. Yes, that is true as well, because it is a pain in the neck to write a cover letter, but based on the guy who said he'd rather eat a whole car tire, right? So because of that, if you're anywhere near lazy, you're not writing a cover letter. So yes, it can absolutely differentiate you, and it gives you the opportunity to do that, right? It gives you a chance to do that. Sometimes an employer will say a cover letter is not needed. You know, you can still include one again, but not if it doesn't add anything. So if they say a cover letter is not needed and you're writing a cover letter, LaTanya, that says, "Hi, I'm LaTanya, and I saw your job, and I would like your job, and I'm a good communicator, and I have 5 years of experience, and I'm really great, and please tell me when I can interview, and I'm available anytime. Thank you, love, LaTanya." If that's your cover letter, no. Like, if your cover letter doesn't add anything additional that is meat to this process, then no. If you're just adding a cover letter to add a cover letter, just to have something to put there, like in that spot, and you're using kind of like that form letter kind of cover letter that was very popular in the 80s when I first started writing them, then no, don't do it, because it's not adding anything. And now it actually probably will annoy somebody if they're like, "Oh my God, they wrote a cover letter. I got to read this stupid thing now." And they read it and they're like, "Oh, well, that told me nothing," So just don't ever give somebody something that they are going to view now as a waste of time that doesn't add anything. Yes, that's true. It's an example of how you talk as a human being, Murphy. Yes, exactly. And that's also what that first part of your LinkedIn profile does too. It shows how you talk as a human being, because that's why I said that LinkedIn profile piece is that top piece where I forget what it's called, but profile statement or whatever that's called. That area is almost like a mini cover letter kind of area, where you're using it to some additional supporting information to get somebody to notice you. So it's the all meat, no filler thing. And I think that was a commercial too for something, maybe a hot dog, I don't know, 100 years ago, but someone's going to know and tell me I know. So it's no meat, all meat, no filler. Everything has to be there for a reason. Things should not be there to take up space. We have limited space and time to show these people that they want to talk to us and they want to interview us and they want to consider us for their opportunity. We have limited space and time to do that. So you want all meat and no filler. So if you're looking at something on your resume and you say, does this really add anything? Is this really telling them something they need to know that they either don't already know or aren't going to care about? And if the answer is yes, get that crap off there, because it's filler and it's a waste of space. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time, and it is not driving you closer to your goal. So the homework for today, answer this question and share your findings in today's group homework thread. Who would be your ideal contact for job leads and or information? Describe this person's attributes, background, knowledge, etc. So we're making up a person. This is kind of like an avatar. You're making up the person that would be helpful to you. Be sure to read others' posts. I would like you to read each other's posts, and I'm going to do that separate LinkedIn one too, so you can get each other's LinkedIn profile information. But be sure to read others' posts and see who you can help with introductions in your network. This is the power of community. So it really kind of does follow along with what we were saying. And as a matter of fact, you know what? I just changed my mind. In the homework thread, I think is also going to be where I'm going to invite you to just share your LinkedIn profile as well. So we'll just do that all in one, and you don't have to go to 2 different posts. See? Simple, simple, simple. All meat, no filler. Say we don't need 2 posts, so you have to go to 2 places. I want you to go to 1 place. Make it easy. So let's make it easy for me to look at and you to post. So what I want you to do is kind of come up with that person that you think would be able to help you. What would they have? Where would they work? What kind of experience would they have? What kind of knowledge would they have? Where might they have gone to school? What degree might they have had? What certification might they have? What kind of connections might they have? Kind of sketch that out for yourself a little bit. Post that in the group, and then somebody in the group might say, "Oh, I'm like that person," or "I know somebody like that person," and that can really help to start to show us the power of community and the power of networking. We are going to talk about networking next week in one of the sessions, much more in depth. Tomorrow we're going to talk about interviewing, because we want to really talk about what happens after you do all this stuff and you send your babies out into the world, your cover letters and your resumes and your profiles, and how those are received. And then how to really sell yourself when you get in there. So we have gone a little bit over time. I apologize for that. I do have some stuff written here under the bonus homework. I'd like you to read this, because I do have one thing here I'm going to read because I think it's funny. I want to share it. So remember that the map is a path with twists and turns, and you must adjust along the way. So we talked about that earlier today, that you need to make adjustments. Don't be afraid to take a step, because you can always change, right? So we don't go home on a long car trip just because there's a detour, the bridge is out, you know, we find another way to get there, right? We see something that we like, we stop, right? We want to go a different way. You know, maybe we get lost on the way, right? We don't decide not to go. We don't say, and here's my little quote, I enjoyed this. Oh, well, I was going to Vermont, but I can't go the way I wanted, so I'll just live on the New Jersey Turnpike now. Like, we don't do that. We don't just say, okay, well, that's it. I don't know where I'm going, so I'm just going to stop here. But how many times do we do that in our career? How many times do we do that where we just say, you know what? I give up. I don't want to go anymore. I don't want to go anymore. I'm just going to stop. And it's so funny because I say that sometimes in a joking way on trips when I'm tired and I don't feel like driving anymore. I'll say, I used to say to my son when he was younger all the time, we used to laugh about it. I'd say, and he knew I wasn't serious, but I'd say, you know what, Nick, I just don't want to go anymore. We're going to live here. And I'd point to like the side of the road, like on the highway, because I was like, I just don't want to go anymore. I'm sick of it. We live too far away. I'm not going. You know, and it's a joke, and it's a joke that I made to really just illustrate that point, you know, that we don't decide on a trip that we're not going to go anymore and we're just going to live wherever we get sick of it, right? We keep going, we persevere, and we get to where we're going. And then conversely, we go back home to where we actually live, because that's, you know, we need to get home. So you need to get home in your career. And the home is that place that is what is meant for you. And you need to get there. And the only way you can get there is by taking steps. So I thank you all so much for being here today. I'm sorry that this went over, but I like to over deliver instead of under deliver. And, you know, I literally, contrary to what my husband thinks, we can talk about this all day, literally all day, every day, and still have more to talk about. So I am going to post that homework thread when we get off the phone here. I'm also going to eat something because I am starving. So somebody send me some emojis, send me some love, send me some hearts or happies or yays or little somethings. I want to just see that you're all still there and you're all still with me. Send me something. And I love you guys. I'm so glad you guys are here with me, and it's a beautiful day out. I'm going to try to get outside for a few minutes today too. I hope you guys will do that as well. And yes, I will see you guys at 4. And thank you for reminding me of that, Tracy. At 4, we're going to talk about creativity isn't only for artists. And that is another topic that I love. So we're going to talk about it. And I am just so grateful that I get to be home in my career by what I'm doing with you guys. So I will see you all later. Thank you. Bye-bye.